Okay, so North Node in the first house. I would say that your North Node, you probably have a grasp on what the North Node represents, but I will still say a very rough explanation of my understanding. The North Node is the point in your chart where your soul is guided to go, what is uncomfortable for you in this incarnation, and what theme you are meant to master. And the opposite of your South Node is your North Node, and that is basically on the opposite side of whichever house the North Node is in. So for example, if you have the North Node in the second house, you would have the South Node in the 8th house. And what this means then is it gives you a very good understanding of what is it that I'm meant to get comfortable with. What am I supposed to master? Like literal, like what is the tugging war in this incarnation? And it doesn't mean that you have to go from one to the other, but you still have to have a good balance and be comfortable with going to the North Node to better balance the South, because the South Node is often explained as something you mastered in the past. So you often are drawn towards that type or theme in your life because it's comfortable and easy for you. And in this incarnation, your lesson is to go in the opposite direction, even though it will probably trigger you a lot. It will probably be very uncomfortable and you will feel unsafe while doing it. You're still meant to go that way, and if you're not going that way, you probably will experience some type of resistance in your life in forms of mental distractions, addictions, a restlessness, physical pain, illness. So it's kind of like you don't have a choice, but you do, because your soul chose this once you came into this incarnation. So when you have the North Node in the first house, in your former incarnations, you've experienced the theme of partnership. That is the theme and the house that you mastered and feel like it's comfortable. In this position can, in my opinion, be an escapism towards partners and kind of like codependency tendencies. It's probably like you have a lot of soothingness in being with a partner and you can't be alone, or there's this, they're filling a need that you can't fill by yourself to this point. But what you're invited to explore in this lifetime is, how can you find your own center? How can you ground yourself and give yourself the feeling of relaxation in your own being? You have to have this place of wholeness within yourself. And this doesn't mean that you can't be in a relationship. It just means that you're supposed to have an anchor in yourself first, like a priority in yourself first, to then give to a partner. This is the invitation for your soul, the ultimate invitation and test for you to be truly like an independent being, so you can help other people take responsibility and be grown-ups, to help them from addiction and escapism and codependency. So you're asked to really ground and mesh your ego and soul to have a better balance in the sense of yourself. And it's also not just personality and sense of self, it is also like your body. How can you best be in your body? How can you best transcend all these themes in a feeling of yourself? And still then to notice, when do I have resistance towards the evolving self that I have, or like the experience of this character building, and when do I go back to relationships and romance, and when do I go back to get my self-love need fulfilled by a partner, for example. That's like, you need to really give that self-acceptance to yourself first in order to not experience this frustration in this lifetime. That is your ultimate task. And this is a very, like, a tough but super important task to have in this life, where we are all very dependent on external acceptance, and not just by people but by material things, and like our jobs, our finance, our, like, everything is just validating our being. But what we need to do is having this grounding and this center, and staying strong in the center in ourselves, so that we can carry and love other people as well. This is a very important task. And how you go about this is so, like, depends on your whole chart, what the other themes in your life are, where your sun is, where your moon is, which ascendant sign you have in your chart, and also which north node zodiac sign you have, and same for south node. That gives you kind of like the lens of what themes you will experience in this centering aspect of your character building. So it depends on the zodiac sign as well. But just to grasp the importance of what does it mean to be me? How can I be me? And really, like, building that character, that strong sense of self is so important. And if you do experience times of frustration or resistance, it could be a good way to connect that the north node could be a reason why you don't feel aligned at this moment. It could be that you have gone back to your south node, you're more focused on your relationships and not with self-connection, for example. So super important placement with the nodes, super important. I really like exploring what they mean for you, meditating on them, and journaling of the importance. Like, you could, for example, after this video, sit with this and try to add to what does the north node in my first house in this zodiac sign mean. And then you could write a journal. You could write on your computer, for example, and sit down and write what and how have I experienced this before. Like, can I recognize this theme? What events in my life are these, like, following the following the breadcrumbs of your past life, and seeing, has this been a theme that has repeated itself? You can meditate on this, you can journal on this, you can do shadow work on this. And by shadow work I mean experiencing or trying to invite the darkness, the uncomfortability with this, like challenging yourself, and then inquire into those parts. Like, what is the most scary thing with being alone? What is the worst thing if I'm not in a relationship? And then going from there And setting a space where you feel safe enough to do shadow work is always good. Like set a timer so you feel held and you're not just sitting in this darkness by yourself and just like prodding at uncomfortable things. Just like show your being that you are safe when doing shadow work. That's a disclaimer. But yeah, you could really unravel this, and it is a good focus point to have in your chart. Very, very important. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.